Dr. Ofie in the studio with me, about to take a critical look at human seed, aka male sperm. Ejaculation produces between 2 and 5 milliliters. That's what my snapshot research tells me. And that teaspoon contains between 40 and 600 million individual sperm. Well, low sperm count is a problem for many men and many couples. So if you have a question about this that you'd like to direct to a naturopath, remember, they're the ones that say that it is the food, it is the lifestyle choices that we make that affect our health. Well, then post them to the TV3 Sunrise page on Facebook. Dr. Ofie, my guest in the studio. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You're always looking really nice. I like what you're wearing.
Thank you.
Very nice, sir. Thank you for coming. Human seed. How is it formed?
Well, reproduction is the means through which we can sustain humanity. And for that reason, the faculties are designed to produce the material that can fertilize the ovum or the egg, to guarantee that we reproduce. And the material required essentially is fruit sugar. It's fruits. So you can take your oranges and bananas, and as well as your nuts. You need the full gamut of the vitamins and minerals that make up the human body. Essentially, there are 4 kingdoms: the mineral, the vegetable, the animal, and the human kingdoms. Now, we need materials from all these kingdoms to sustain the human body. The body essentially is a composite of what we put into it, and these should contain live elements. So if you are not eating fruits and vegetables in the natural state, it becomes difficult to create the seed. That is the bottom line. And once you do that, if you preserve the seed, it has other functions to perform, especially with the nervous system, the brain, essentially the brain. And that is why it's important that as adolescents, we develop the habit of keeping the seed. We should remain continent. And if we don't remain continent and abuse that faculty through masturbation, through lasciviousness, through promiscuity, it becomes difficult.
You're saying that there is a direct link between sperm count or the quality of semen that male body produces and other aspects of our health.
Absolutely. You see, we are not essentially physical beings. Our emotions can affect, the quality of the seed that we produce. And that essentially requires that, we keep the temple clean. There should be no dirt whatsoever in the body. And that accounts for most of the, diseases that we contract even before, we marry. And I dare to say that, every species has a period through which it matures. Humans mature at the age of 25. Unfortunately, you find adolescents, even children, having sex, so early in life. And there are reasons for all these happenings, which I believe we need to research, to find solutions to.
Okay, what is the longevity of human sperm and semen? Do we just keep producing it and storing it?
You keep producing it, storing it, and reabsorbing it. If you
it gets reabsorbed. If it's not ejaculated, it's reabsorbed into the body.
Exactly. To regenerate, to refresh the body, especially the brain. And that is why you find intellectual geniuses like Plato, like Aristotle, who were celibate.
How long does the cycle take? What is the cycle of regeneration and absorption and reabsorption?
It is forever. It's eternal. The Master Jesus never married. Can you imagine what happened to his seed that he was producing? it was that material that helped him, to achieve those things that most of us cannot achieve today. But I would suggest that we need to experiment. If you work, you need to apply the work that you have, done.
Okay, so earlier on you were saying that a very healthy diet of a lot of fluids and fruits and vegetables is really good for this. Specifically, what sort of diet would you recommend for someone who might be suffering from poor health accompanied with a low sperm count?
If you suffer from poor health, it is, like I said, the material you're putting into your body. That's the law of
okay, the do's and the don'ts, just very simply, the do's and the don'ts. What do you put into your body? What do you not recommend for us to put into our body, in other words, to consume?
Processed food essentially cannot provide life.
Processed food,
most cooked food essentially. For millions of years we didn't have fire, and we keep repeating this issue because here in the tropics we have live foods, the fruits and the vegetables in the natural state. If we don't assess them, or if you don't, patronize them, and we choose, those foods that have been processed, killed essentially, dead food, most of the things that we have for breakfast, most of us have for breakfast, and ignoring, the live elements that contain the enzymes, the cosmic elements that will, make us, that will guarantee our integrity, we will suffer. And human beings essentially abuse. There are cycles for reproduction in the animal kingdom. Until animals have estrus, they'll never want to have sex. But we have abused all those laws. There are laws that that guarantee or that control when and how we should even have sex. Most of the time, in marriage, sex is sort of or coitus happens in the night, which is the worst period that it should happen, because the peak of the energy, the human energy, is between at daytime, that is between 10 and 2. Unfortunately, we have created a lot of distortions about how we should live and so on because of vested interest. So I think that we need more research, more understanding, especially for adolescents, students, who indulge in sex, because they want to gratify that sense of, of touch and so on. I think that if we understood, or if we are made to understand, what purpose the seed can serve, especially for students, this country would be in better state than it is at the moment.
So what are some of the specific factors that affect the destruction of sperm, the low production of semen, and therefore low fertility chances for men?
Okay, acidity, toxicity in the human body, the lack of the nutrients that are heat, radiation, there are several factors. Your emotions can also play a part. Drugs, also play a part, recreational drugs, alcohol, and so on. And once we are able to overcome and understand what is happening, we will be able to correct these things. It's not too difficult, but there are several, grades of, self-destruction. In fact, in azoospermia, there will be no sperm at all, and this somehow genetic to some extent. And so people also have oligospermia, which can also be corrected if the right nutrients are provided, especially the vitamin E, the lecithin, and so on. But as often as you discharge the seed, you weaken the faculty, the capacity, to produce perfect seed, which can fertilize the ovum.
Okay, well, I've got some interesting facts here that I've pulled up online, and these are sperm facts that every woman should know. It's interesting that it's directed at women. Well, first of all, it talks about the average number of sperm in an ejaculation. This one puts it between 200 and 500 million. So it looks like 500 million is the high end, 40 million is the low end, and 200 is somewhere in the middle. Now, sperm are produced in a man's testes, and it takes 10 weeks, according to this information, for a single sperm to reach maturity. And then they can wait for up to 2 weeks for their big day, their big outing, i.e. ejaculation. They hang out in a coil-like structure that runs across the top of each testicle. Now, if they are not ejaculated, the sperm are broken down and reabsorbed into the body. Now, semen contains only 10% sperm. The rest is enzymes, vitamin C, calcium, protein, sodium, zinc, citric acid, and fructose sugar that Dr. Ofie Agyeman mentioned. And what men eat does affect the quality of the sperm. So there are certain things to avoid, as the doc was saying, and certain things to actually choose. Healthy men produce between 70 to 150 million sperm a day. And when they ejaculated, the loss is 3 times that, and that is why men seem so tired, usually after sex. Inside a woman's body, a sperm can live up to 5 days. And here's the big one. There are male and female sperm. Now, apparently the females are slower but stronger, while the males are faster but weaker. Does this strike a note of resonance to you?
Yes. Well, the women are sort of invigorated by, the seed of men. But the men can also die from the discharge of the seed, from the ejaculation of the seed. In fact, in rabbits, if you notice that anytime they have ejaculation, they faint. Some even die, and there's so many men who have died because of the abuse of,
those stories pop up once again in the press and news reports. Man, dead during a sexual intercourse. But tell me this, Doc. You've spoken at length about food and lifestyle choice. What about clothes? There is this urban legend that says that if you wear underwear that is too tight for a man, or if you wear trousers that are too tight, it can adversely affect your reproductive ability, your sperm count. Is this true?
It is very true.
Temperature and tightness. Explain this to me, please.
Well, heat, the body temperature, there should be a lower temperature in the scrotum, which contain the testicles, to create the environment within, and also the quality of the seed to, enable it to, fertilize the egg. If you sit for too long, especially like you said, with very tight underwear, or if you are a driver with the vehicles that have engines under the seat and so on, definitely you're going to destroy your seed. So normally, if you reach the time where you want to, if you come to the time when you want to fertilize an ovum, when you have coitus, you have to lower the temperature. Through water, you can just subject to the whole scrotum to very cold water, and then it will create the appropriate quality temperature for.
Okay, Dr. Ofie Agyeman, my naturopathic friend of a doctor, sharing a bit of his knowledge when it comes to the male sperm, particularly called the human seed. My producer, A.Y. Zalo, tried to title this segment, Saving Human Seed. I wonder why, but I hope the good doc has answered all, if not most, if not all of your questions. Nana J. Nordic Prince Opoko wants to know if masturbation has any effect, good or bad, on the quality of sperm.
Yes,
it does.
Yes, very much so, because the faculties are weakened, and the elements within will not be normal because you have abused.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was watching a documentary. There's a Dutch TV station called VPRO, and they were looking at different things around the world. And apparently, in the Philippines, masturbation is a puberty right that all young males have to go through in the interest of improved fertility and procreation. But that'll be for another day, Doc. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for coming. Keep watching Sunrise.